and it was just a very joyous occasion. You know, it was just a fun day. Yeah.
Was there any talk of ever having a Thai wedding or Chinese
Yeah,
wedding?
yeah, we talked about that. Like, you mean, was there any talk about having Thai weddings and Chinese weddings? Yeah, we had a talk, but um, you know, my father wasn't here at that time, and so you know, he would have been perfect to advise me on a Chinese wedding. But we kind of like just for you know, like just to keep it simple, you know, we kind of because we knew we were gonna have two weddings, so it was just too stressful to go the Thai or the Chinese route, you know. But I would have loved to have that. Yeah.
Which one would you have preferred, the Thai one or the Chinese?
Thai, of course. I speak Thai. Even though I'm half Chinese, I'm more Thai than anything else. You know? Yeah, Thai.
What nationality would you consider yourself?
Oh, Thai. Thai.
Thai American or just
Thai. Thai.
Thai?
I mean, you know, Thai with American accents, or like Thai with American background. I guess I don't know. Yeah.
How do you want to raise your children?
Well, since my wife is Japanese, you know, we kind of decided that for right now, you know, we wanted them to really learn Japanese just for the sake of keeping it simple and, you know, and then later on, if they want to learn Thai, that's fine too. But primarily, they're really raised by their mom. So, you know, it's fair enough. There should be Japanese first, and they have Japanese names. You know, my first boy is Junpei, and second boy is Yosuke. So they both have Japanese names. They don't really have an American name. So
You yourself are pretty interested in the Japanese culture.
yeah, yeah, pretty fascinated. You know, I mean, early on, you know, growing up in Thailand, we watched a lot of those Japanese kids shows. You know, like Ultraman and all that. And I guess a lot of Thai kids were really influenced by Japanese culture in a very kind of popish way, you know, like their pop culture, I guess. So, yeah, I was interested in that, you know, and then I didn't set out to marry a Japanese girl, you know, just happened somehow. Fate, I guess.
What did you think Papa's and Mama's reaction to your dating a Japanese girl was?
They were so nice. I mean, you know, because Papa is Chinese and a lot of bad blood there. Mama doesn't care really, but I mean about you know her being Japanese. But I'm sure she would have preferred my wife to be Thai, and my father would have preferred my wife to be Chinese. But you know, just happens. You know. Yeah.
Describe the bad blood with my father, with Papa.
Oh, you mean with the Japanese? Well, you know, because my papa came from Shanghai, and I guess you know in the 40s, you know, obviously everybody knows that the Japanese invaded China, and he had to, uh, you know, escape Shanghai. I guess Shanghai was pretty hard hit, so he had to move to Hong Kong, which is you know British rule, so pretty much protected by. The Japanese colonization kind of thing in World War II. So I understand it, but I think my father is a very complex man, you know, and he could have just taken a hateful route, but he didn't actually. He went to live in Japan for a couple of years, and he really absorbed a lot of Japanese kind of thinking, and he kind of incorporated that, I can see, into his thinking. So he's very complex, so he's not about hate, you know. So he was okay, you know. He was okay with it, you know, and he loves me, so he's not gonna give me a bunch of you know crap, you know, for marrying a Japanese girl, you know. He would have liked me to marry a Chinese girl, but he would just, you know, he loves me, so you know, he went with my choice, you know. Yeah.
You said earlier about him embracing Japanese thinking.
He didn't really
What does that
embrace it.
mean?
I don't think my father embraced Japanese thinking. I think he kind of incorporated that into his life, you know, because there's a lot of good stuff, you know, there. I don't think he embraced it, like you know. I think he just used some of the good stuff, you know. And he's smart enough to do that, He's very smart man, and so embracing is kind of. Yeah, I don't think he embraced it. No. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, we had a previous interview, and did you know that the Japanese colonized Shanghai a year before he was born?
Yeah, I kind of yeah, because he was born in in 1940, I think, right, something like that. 1940, right, or 1930, 36,
37.
37. Yeah, so yeah, it was just bad deal, um, But yeah, that's all a very long time ago.
And what do you think about this kind of the Japanese pop culture taking over the youth, I guess?
Oh, in Thailand or
In
here? In
yeah,
here?
everywhere.
I don't think it is actually. Uh, I think
Definitely a fascination.
it is a fascination on on the surface. I mean, yeah, it's new and it's. I don't know if the pop culture. I think it's the other way around actually. I think it's more like if you take a look at, just their pop culture. It's a lot of it is influenced by Americans really. Even if you look at animation or Japanese animation, a lot of the themes are very Western theme. So it's just them repackaging what we gave them and bringing it over here in a very kind of like a different package. So we're kind of fascinated by it. I don't think we're really being taken over by them at all, actually. It's just fun stuff. I don't think we take it too seriously. I don't think. That's my thinking.
My impression is that you're very interested in that, in the whole.
Oh yeah, I love that stuff. I wrote a couple articles for Tokyo Pop. Before they're huge now. Huge company, but uh, in the late '90s, I wrote a couple articles for them, and they were like just a very small offshoot company from a communication school in USC. Because I went to communication school. Um, so yeah, I like that stuff. It's fascinating cross-cultural stuff. It's really cool. I like that stuff a lot. Yeah, fascinating.
Do you find it a little ironic that you're so interested in that, and the way Papa grew up was that they were dictators, Japanese?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't. That stuff is just so. I mean, you read about it, but I don't have any hate in my heart. I know that the Japanese did a lot of bad things, but a lot of people did bad things. I mean, even Americans to the Indian native Indians, or the Burmese to the Thais, or even the Chinese to the Mongolians, or not to the Tibetans. I mean, um, to me, it's just part of the world that we live in. We live in a very kind of violent world. Really think about it. And there's too much hate in this world. I don't. I don't have any hate in my heart, so I don't care. Like I don't harbor any hate. So if I like something, I'm just gonna like it, even though like, oh, it might be Japanese or whatever. I don't care. Because I don't have hate, really. Yeah.
Would you say there are aspects of Thai culture or Chinese culture you're interested in?
Oh yeah, I love Thai culture and Chinese too. I wish just through ignorance, I wish I know more about the Chinese culture. I'm starting to read more about them. Um, Thai culture really it's ingrained in my heart. I'm Thai in my heart, so a lot. Even though like maybe I'm not familiar with the history and all that stuff. But like how they say Thai people are very easygoing and they smile a lot and they don't really hate. And it's true. I think I'm like that. In some aspects, I am very Thai. You know. Yeah.
What aspects of Thai culture are you interested in? Like,
Oh yeah, the religion. I mean, I wish I know more about Buddhism, but um, lately, going in now to my 40s, um, uh, Buddhi- Buddhism has become a big part in my life. Um, you know, it's just a way of making peace with the confusion in this world. Because I live a very